Joining me now with more on the Russia probe, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, a conservative watchdog group that has filed a lawsuit seeking greater transparency in Robert Mueller's ongoing investigation. Tom, good to see you tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Shannon.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Podesta brothers. We know more about John, the general public does because of his role with Hillary Clinton, but tell us about Tony and why it's significant that he stepped away from his firm.
Well, Tony Podesta is just a well-known lobbyist here in Washington, D.C., and a real hired by everyone to get everything done. And evidently, he was tied to the Manafort effort. And Manafort's been indicted for his efforts on behalf of foreign entities. Mm-hmm. And the question is the Podesta lobbying operation next? Mm-hmm. Now, Tony says that I filed all the forms properly, I filed the legal advice, and I didn't do anything wrong. But I think the concern from fair-minded people is why the inordinate focus on Trump campaign associate collusion or activities, and why not similar focus on the activities of Tony Podesta, and frankly, more importantly, John Podesta, who had a business relationship with the Russian government, and not only that, was the head of the Clinton campaign that paid for the dossier, mm-hmm. which was essentially a collusion with the Russian intelligence operations.
Though, at this point, that there is some focus on at least one of the Podesta brothers has come within the crosshairs, the interest of the special counsel. So I know that you think you've got a lot of problems with Mueller and his ability to be objective, but if he were to indict one of these brothers, would that change your opinion? Should it?
Well, I don't know. My concern is that we don't know what Mueller is supposed to be doing. He indicted Manafort on charges unrelated to what mm-hmm. he was hired to do.
But you know special prosecutors, I mean, they have a very wide berth and a lot of money and unlimited time to do this stuff.
Well, that's the constitutional problem. You know, Mr. Mueller was hired to investigate collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, or Russian involvement in the 2016 election. The Manafort indictment really has nothing to do with that. It's mm-hmm. tax fraud, money laundering, mm-hmm. mortgage fraud. Mm-hmm. We don't need a special prosecutor for that. And the question is he only going to investigate collusion between the Trump campaign, allegedly, and the Russians, or is he going to involve the Clintons in it?
Do you trust him to follow the facts? Because there are a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle who say, I think he will go after Democrats if he finds that there's a legitimate reason to, that they've broken the law in some way. There are a lot of folks on the Hill. We had Senator Lindsey Graham here last night. He said there will be, quote, holy hell to pay if the president gets rid of Mueller or if he isn't cooperated with in some way.
You know, there's a difference between getting rid of Mueller and questioning his constitutional mm-hmm. authority mm-hmm. under the law. That doesn't mean you're not cooperating with a special prosecutor. It just means you're asserting your rights under law. And Mr. Mueller is not being supervised properly by the Justice Department. He has seemingly a wide-ranging charge without adequate supervision. We've asked for his budget. We haven't been able to get it. We had to sue in court for his budget. But why the big secrecy? Shannon, you've covered the Justice Department. Are you aware of any Justice Department investigation in recent memory that had 20 prosecutors assigned to it? It just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. You know, my guess is the terrorist operation, anti-terrorist operation right now in response to yesterday's attack might have similar numbers. But this is a mini Justice Department being run by Mr. Mueller, and people who are appointed by the president and subjected to Senate confirmation aren't supervising him properly and adequately. Well, for him to make this big first indictment, mm-hmm. not about the price of tea in China, but about something really minor, relatively speaking, tells us that he has an overly wide view of his abilities.
Well, I mean, what he charged them with yesterday, no collusion with Russia and the campaign. I mean, there was nothing in that. People immediately hear an indictment, and those on the left get really excited, like, aha, there's proof. That's not what these indictments were about, to be clear. But we also got on the same day this plea deal with George Papadopoulos, who, that was a much different situation. That was that he was reaching out, trying to facilitate something. At least some say that he overestimated his ability to do so and was maybe exaggerating his ability to get top Russian officials to the table. But it sounds like in these emails that's absolutely what he was trying to do. So we get word of that, a deal that a man who'd been arrested back in July, we don't hear about it until the same day we get the indictments on Manafort and Gates. Do you think that the special counsel's office is sending a message saying, yes, we got these indictments on these two and there's no direct collusion as part of these indictments, but here's Papadopoulos. We're very much still on the scent of this trail.
Well, you know, unfortunately for Mr. Papadopoulos, he evidently lied about something mm-hmm. that wasn't illegal, which were communications with these Russian operatives talking about the campaign that didn't go anywhere. And all the evidence in the indictment or in the plea deal suggests that it didn't go anywhere. The campaign was monitoring what he was doing, and basically it never rose above his own machinations individually. So I don't see what the big deal is there. And there's nothing that's been released publicly thus far showing there's been any collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians in an improper way.
Yeah,
and the only information we have is between the Clinton operation and the Russians, where monies were exchanged. And my question is the FBI using this dossier, and now Mr. Mueller using this dossier, and is it fruit of the poison tree?
Yeah, and are you confident, and we got to go, but are you confident that the House, the investigations they've launched into both Fusion GPS and the dirty dossier, and also the Uranium One deal, that will get answers that the American people want?
No, I'm not confident, because the agencies are protecting Mueller's investigation, and anyone who asks questions about anything are being told, oh, we're looking at it criminally, so therefore you can't get the information. So we'll be in the dark unless we push harder on it.
Well, we know you do. So keep us updated on what you find.
Will. Thank you.
Good to see you.